You are not broke because you are lazy. You are not broke because you are not smart enough. You are not broke because you did not work hard enough. You are broke, or closer to broke than you should be at your age, because something is silently working against you. Something you cannot see. Something nobody warned you about. There are 7 of them, and every single one is operating in your life right now. This video names them. All 7, one by one. So, stay with me, and if you feel like your ambition and your bank account are living completely different lives, this video is for you. You have ambition. I know you do. You would not be watching a video like this if you did not. Ambitious people seek answers. Ambitious people look for the thing they are missing. Ambitious people do not accept "this is just how it is" as a final answer. But here's the cruel irony about ambition. The very traits that make you ambitious, your drive, your confidence, your willingness to work hard, can also make you blind to the forces quietly sabotaging your success. Because ambitious people tend to blame themselves when things go wrong. They work harder, they push more, they sacrifice more. And still, the financial freedom they are chasing stays just out of reach. That is not bad luck. That is not laziness. That is the silent killers doing exactly what they are designed to do. In the next hour, I am going to name all 7 of them. I am going to explain exactly how each one works against you. I am going to tell you the story of someone who lived through each one and either survived it or did not. And at the end of every single killer, I am going to give you the antidote, the specific thing you can do to neutralize it starting today. This is not a motivational video. This is a diagnostic. By the end of this hour, you will know exactly which killers are active in your life, and you will have a plan to stop them. Let us start with a story. There was a man named Gerald. Gerald was 54 years old, and by every external measure, Gerald looked successful. He had a good job as a regional sales director. He drove a late model SUV. He lived in a 4-bedroom house in a nice suburb of Charlotte, North Carolina. His kids were in decent schools. His wife worked part-time. At dinner parties, people asked Gerald for advice about their careers. But late at night, when the house was quiet and everyone was asleep, Gerald sat at his desk and stared at numbers that terrified him. He had $43,000 in his 401k at 54 years old. He had $8,200 in savings, which was about to become $3,200 after the car repair he had been putting off. He had $22,000 in credit card debt spread across 4 cards. He had a mortgage with 19 years left on it, and he had a life insurance policy he was 3 months behind on. Gerald made $118,000 a year. He had made 6 figures for over a decade. And he was quietly, invisibly, terrifyingly broke. Gerald was not stupid. Gerald was not reckless. Gerald worked 60 hours a week. Gerald cared deeply about providing for his family. Gerald had read books about money. Gerald had listened to podcasts. Gerald had told himself every single year for the past decade that this year would be the year he finally got it together. But the 7 silent killers were working on Gerald. And Gerald did not even know their names. I am going to tell you Gerald's story throughout this video, because Gerald represents millions of Americans, maybe you, maybe someone you love, who are working incredibly hard, wanting desperately to succeed, and still losing ground every single year. By the end of this video, you will understand exactly what was happening to Gerald, and more importantly, you will understand what to do so it stops happening to you. Here is silent killer number 1. Lifestyle inflation. And it is the most widespread, most invisible, most socially acceptable wealth destroyer in America. Here is how it works. You work hard, you get a raise, your income goes up by $8,000 a year. And almost immediately, without consciously deciding to, your spending goes up by $8,000 a year too. You upgrade the car because you can now afford a slightly nicer one. You start going to better restaurants because you have earned it. You move to a bigger apartment, a bigger house, a better neighborhood. You buy better clothes, better furniture, better vacations. You say yes to things you used to say no to because the money is there now. And your financial position stays exactly the same, or gets worse, because the upgrades came with new debt, a bigger mortgage, a car payment, credit cards carrying balances. This is lifestyle inflation. And it is silent because it does not feel like a mistake. Every individual decision feels reasonable. Every upgrade feels deserved. Because you did work for it. You did earn it. The problem is not any single decision. The problem is the automatic, unconscious pattern of spending every dollar of every raise the moment it arrives. Gerald fell deep into this trap. At 38, when he first crossed $80,000 a year, he bought a new truck. At 42, when he hit $95,000, he and his wife bought the 4-bedroom house, $40,000 more than they originally planned, but they could handle it now. At 46, when he crossed $110,000, they redid the kitchen. Every raise became a new expense within 6 months. By 54, Gerald was earning $118,000, but he was living a $118,000 lifestyle with a $43,000 retirement account. He had raised his standard of living with every raise and raised his cost of survival right along with it. Here is the truth about lifestyle inflation that nobody tells you at the salary negotiation table. A raise only changes your life if you capture it before it becomes a new expense. The wealthy do not upgrade their lifestyle with every raise. They upgrade their investment accounts. They let the difference between what they earn and what they actually need silently compound into freedom. The antidote to silent killer number 1. The next time your income increases, whether it is a raise, a bonus, a tax refund, or any windfall, make a rule before you spend a single dollar of it. The rule is called the 50-50 rule. 50% of every income increase goes directly to your future self. Savings, investments, debt reduction. The other 50% you can spend however you like. No guilt. No restrictions. This rule lets you enjoy your success while capturing half of it permanently. Over 10 years, this single rule applied consistently will produce more wealth than most Americans accumulate in a lifetime. Write that down. 50% of every income increase goes to your future, every time, without exception. Silent killer number 2 is the comparison trap. And in 2026, with social media showing you a highlight reel of everyone else's best moments 24 hours a day, this killer is more dangerous than it has ever been in human history. Here is how it destroys wealth. You are doing reasonably well. You are not in crisis. Then you scroll through Instagram and see your college roommate's new lake house. You see your coworkers' photos from Italy. You see your neighbor pull into the driveway with a brand new car. And something shifts inside you, something quiet and corrosive. You start to feel behind. You start to feel like you are not doing enough. You start to feel like whatever you have is not quite good enough, not compared to what everyone else seems to have. And that feeling drives spending. Not thoughtful, intentional spending on things that genuinely improve your life. Reactive spending. Status spending. Spending designed to close the gap between what you have and what you imagine everyone else has. New car you did not need. Vacation you put on a credit card. Home renovation financed at 9% interest because the neighbors just redid their yard and yours looked dated by comparison. The comparison trap turns your financial decisions over to other people. You are no longer making choices based on what you value, what you need, or what your long-term plan requires. You are making choices based on what other people appear to have, appear being the critical word, because most of what people show on social media and in public life is financed by debt. The neighbor with a new car is making a $740 monthly payment. Your college roommate's lake house has a second mortgage on it. Your coworker's Italy trip went on a credit card that is still not paid off. The appearance of wealth and actual wealth are entirely different things. And the comparison trap makes you spend real money chasing the appearance of wealth that other people cannot actually afford either. Gerald knew this trap well. His brother-in-law drove a Tesla. His golf buddy just bought a boat. At 52, Gerald felt a pressure, a silent, grinding pressure, to match what the people around him were doing. Not because he wanted those things. Because he did not want to look like he was falling behind. He was not falling behind his brother-in-law, he was falling behind himself. Behind the version of himself that could have retired comfortably if he had stopped trying to keep up with people who were also quietly drowning. The antidote to silent killer number 2. First, audit your social media. Unfollow or mute any account that consistently makes you feel behind, inadequate, or like you need to spend money to feel okay. This is not weakness. This is protecting your financial environment. Second, define your own scorecard. Write down what financial success looks like for you, not for your neighbor, not for your brother-in-law, for you. What does your ideal retirement look like? What does your ideal lifestyle actually require? Build your financial decisions around that definition and nothing else. Third, practice what wealthy people actually do. Wealthy people drive used cars and live in modest homes relative to their income. Not because they cannot afford more, because they measure success by their net worth, not by how expensive their possessions look to other people. Your net worth is your scoreboard, not your driveway. Silent killer number 3 is financial paralysis. And this one hits ambitious people especially hard, because it hides behind something that looks like responsibility. It looks like caution. It looks like doing your research. But it is paralysis, and it is quietly costing you years of compounding growth. Here is how it works. You know you need to invest. You know you need to start. You decide to learn more before you begin, which sounds reasonable. So you read an article, then another, then you watch a few videos. Then you realize you do not fully understand the difference between a Roth IRA and a traditional IRA, so you research that. Then you start wondering whether index funds are better than ETFs. Then you read something about market timing and wonder whether now is really the right time to get in. Then you get overwhelmed and close all the tabs and tell yourself you will get back to it when you have more time to really understand it properly. 6 months go by. You have not invested a single dollar, but you have done a lot of research. This is financial paralysis. And it is devastating because of what it costs you in time. Remember the compound interest math. Money invested at 45 grows to dramatically less than money invested at 40. Every year you wait costs you not 1 year of growth. It costs you all the years of growth on top of that year. The cost of paralysis is not linear, it is exponential. Gerald was a champion at financial paralysis. He had read 3 books about investing. He had a list of 5 brokerage apps on his phone that he had downloaded and never opened. He had told himself for 4 years that he would start investing once I pay down the cards. The cards never got fully paid down because he never stopped adding to them. And the investing never started because he never stopped waiting. Meanwhile, if Gerald had invested just $300 a month starting at age 44, he would have had over $100,000 in his retirement account by 54. Instead, he had $43,000 from a 401k he barely contributed to. The cost of his paralysis over 10 years, over $57,000 in lost growth. That is what inaction actually costs. Not nothing. A specific, calculable, devastating number. The antidote to silent killer number 3. Adopt what I call the good enough rule. A good investment started today is worth infinitely more than a perfect investment started next year. Perfection is the enemy of progress. You do not need to understand every nuance of the market to open a Roth IRA and put $100 into a target date fund today. Here is your paralysis breaking action. Open one account. Fund it with $1. Do it today while this video is playing if you need to. $1 in an account is not a financial strategy, but it is proof that you can take action. And proof of action is what breaks the paralysis loop. Then go back and learn more. Research all you want, while the account is already open and already growing. Learn and invest simultaneously, because the market does not wait for you to feel ready. We are a couple minutes in. You have met 3 of the 7 silent killers: lifestyle inflation, the comparison trap, and financial paralysis. Each one is dangerous on its own. But here is what I need you to understand. For most ambitious Americans over 40, all 7 are operating at the same time. Silently. Simultaneously. The next 4 killers are the ones I almost never hear discussed. Silent killer number 4, especially. This one is responsible for more broken retirement plans than almost any other single force in America today. Do not go anywhere. Silent killer number 4 is the invisible tax of financial illiteracy. This killer is the most expensive one on this list. And it is invisible precisely because it operates in the language most Americans were never taught to speak. The language of money. Let me give you some numbers. And I want you to really sit with these. The average American pays over $7,000 a year in interest payments alone. Credit cards, car loans, personal loans, home equity lines of credit. $7,000 every year gone. The average American pays $2.400 a year in bank fees, overdraft fees, monthly maintenance fees, ATM fees, wire transfer fees. Fees they barely notice because each one seems small. The average American leaves $1.400 a year in unclaimed employer 401k match contributions on the table. Free money they are simply not collecting because they do not know it is there or how it works. The average American overpays on insurance by $800 a year because they have never shopped for a better rate or bundled their policies for a discount. Add those up. That is over $11,000 a year, quietly, invisibly draining out of the finances of people who are already working incredibly hard. Over a 10-year period, that is $110,000. At an average investment return, that is closer to $150,000 of lost wealth. And every single dollar of it is the direct result of financial illiteracy. Not stupidity, not laziness. Illiteracy. Nobody taught you this language in school. Your parents may not have known it either. The system does not make it easy to learn. And the financial industry profits enormously from the parts you do not understand. Gerald was paying $480 a month in interest across his 4 credit cards. He was paying a $15 monthly maintenance fee on his checking account, a fee he could have eliminated by maintaining a $1.500 minimum balance, which he had. He had not reviewed his car insurance in 5 years. He was contributing 3% to his 401k, while his employer would match up to 6, leaving $3.540 of free money uncollected every year. Gerald did not know any of this. Not because he was not smart, because nobody had ever sat him down and walked him through the invisible leaks in his financial life. The antidote to silent killer number 4. Do a financial leak audit. Set aside 2 hours, just 2 hours, and go through every account, every bill, every automatic payment in your life. Ask 4 questions about every single item. 1. Am I paying interest on this? If yes, how much and at what rate? 2. Am I paying fees I do not have to pay? 3. Am I leaving any employer benefits uncollected? 4. When did I last shop for a better rate on this? Most people who do this audit find between $200 and $600 a month in unnecessary outflow within the first pass. That is $2, $400 to $7, $200 a year. Money that was already yours, just quietly walking out the door. Financial literacy is not complicated. It is just learning the rules of a game you are already playing. And learning the rules changes everything. Silent killer number 5 is the wrong circle. Jim Rohn, one of America's most respected personal finance mentors, said it plainly decades ago. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. This is not motivational poster talk. It is neuroscience. It is behavioral economics. It is documented, repeated, proven fact. The people around you shape your beliefs about what is normal, what is possible, and what you should expect from your life. If everyone in your closest circle lives paycheck to paycheck and treats financial stress as simply the way things are, you will absorb that belief. If everyone around you sees investing as something rich people do, not regular people, you will feel that way too. If your social environment normalizes debt, normalizes never having savings, normalizes retirement being something that just might not happen, that becomes your normal too. This does not mean your friends are bad people. It does not mean you need to abandon everyone you love. But it does mean that if nobody in your immediate environment is building wealth, talking about investing, running a business, or making intentional financial decisions, you are swimming against a very strong current every single day. And most people eventually stop swimming. They drift back to the average of the people around them. Gerald had good friends, loyal friends, men he had known for 20 years. But Gerald's friend group spent their weekends watching sports, spending money, and complaining about their bosses. Nobody in Gerald's circle had a financial advisor. Nobody talked about investing. Nobody had a side income. The one time Gerald mentioned he was thinking about buying a rental property, 3 of his friends immediately told him why it was a bad idea. Not from experience, but from fear. And Gerald backed off. The wrong circle does not just drain your money. It limits your imagination about what is possible. The antidote to silent killer number 5. You do not need to fire your friends, but you do need to add to your circle. Find one person, just one, who is further along financially than you are. A mentor, a colleague, someone from a local real estate investing club, someone from an online community of people building wealth after 40. Ask them how they think about money. Ask them what they wish they had known at your age. Ask them what they read. One conversation with the right person can be worth more than 10 years of reading the right books, because that person makes what you are trying to do feel real. They are living proof that it is possible. And possibility is what your current circle might be quietly stealing from you. Protect your vision. Choose your influences carefully. Silent killer number 6 is the comfort zone economy. This is the killer that lives inside ambition itself. It is the way comfort disguises itself as contentment. The way good enough quietly becomes the ceiling. Here's what happens. You work hard in your 30s. You climb. You get good at your job. You reach a level of competence, a level of income, a level of stability that feels satisfying, maybe even impressive compared to where you started. And then, almost without noticing, you stop climbing. Not because you are not capable of more, not because there is no more to reach, but because the zone you are in is comfortable. The paycheck is predictable. The routine is known. The risks feel greater than the rewards. And so you stay, year after year, doing essentially the same thing for essentially the same money. Meanwhile, inflation is eating your purchasing power. Your fixed expenses keep rising. Your salary raises, if you get them, barely keep pace with the cost of living. And the gap between your income and your goals slowly, silently widens. The comfort zone economy is what keeps capable, talented, hardworking people earning the same amount at 52 that they earned at 44. Not because they have not gotten better, but because they have stopped asking for more, stopped reaching for more, stopped building more. And while they are comfortable, they are not growing. And in a financial landscape where everything around you is getting more expensive, not growing is the same as falling behind. Gerald had not asked for a raise in 3 years, not because he was not worth more. His numbers were strong, but asking felt risky. What if they said no? What if asking made him seem ungrateful? What if it made things awkward? The comfort of not asking felt safer than the discomfort of the conversation. Gerald also had a skill set, 19 years of sales experience. That was worth significant money as a consultant, but he had never explored it. Too uncertain, too unfamiliar, too uncomfortable. The same experience that could have generated an additional $30,000 to $50,000 a year in consulting income sat unused because the idea of venturing outside his comfort zone felt like too big a leap. The comfort zone is not your friend, it is your financial ceiling, and it gets lower every year that inflation rises while your income stays flat. The antidote to silent killer number 6. Every 6 months, ask yourself 3 questions. 1. Am I earning what I am worth? If not, what is one specific action I can take in the next 30 days to change that? A raise request, a job change, a new certification, a promotion pursuit. 1 action. 2. Do I have a skill that someone would pay for outside my job? A consulting niche, a training course, a freelance service? If yes, what would it take to earn your first dollar from it in the next 90 days? 3. Is my income growing faster than inflation? If not, your standard of living is quietly declining even if your paycheck looks the same on paper. Comfort is wonderful for your mental health, but it is toxic for your financial life. Ambitious people are not meant to plateau. They are meant to keep building. And building always requires stepping toward discomfort, deliberately, repeatedly, and without waiting until it feels safe. Because it never feels safe. You do it anyway. Silent killer number 7 is the legacy gap. This is the one that hits deepest, and it is the one most people actively avoid thinking about, which is exactly why it is so dangerous. The legacy gap is the distance between what you want to leave behind for your family and what you have actually done to make that happen. Most ambitious Americans over 40 care deeply about their families. They work hard because of their families. They sacrifice because of their families. They lose sleep over their families' futures. But when it comes to the specific, practical, legal, and financial steps required to actually protect and transfer wealth to their families, most of them have done almost nothing. No will. Or a will they wrote 15 years ago that no longer reflects their actual life. No life insurance, or a policy through work that disappears if they lose the job. No trust. No beneficiary review. No family conversation about what happens to the money, the house, the business, if they are suddenly gone. The legacy gap is silent because death feels like something that happens to other people, or at least something that can wait until later, until the mortgage is paid off, until the kids are out of school, until things slow down, and then something happens, a health scare, a sudden loss in the family, a diagnosis, and the person who always meant to get their affairs in order realizes, with a cold, quiet terror, that they have not. That everything they built could end up in probate court, consumed by fees, distributed in ways they never intended, going to people they would not have chosen. Gerald had a will from 2009. His youngest daughter had not even been born yet. His mother was listed as a beneficiary on his 401k, even though she had passed away 2 years ago. He had no life insurance outside of a basic policy through work worth $100,000. Which sounds like a lot until you realize it would cover about 14 months of his family's current expenses. After that, his wife and 3 kids would be on their own. Gerald thought about this sometimes. It made him deeply uncomfortable, so he thought about something else instead. That discomfort was costing his family their financial future. The antidote to silent killer number 7, this month, not next year, this month, do 4 things. 1. Get a will drafted or updated. LegalZoom or a local estate attorney can do this for a few $100s. If you have children, if you own property, if you have any assets at all, you need a current, accurate will. 2. Review every beneficiary on every account you own. your 401k, your IRA, your life insurance, your bank accounts. Update them to reflect your actual current wishes. This takes 1 hour. 3. Get a term life insurance quote. If you have dependents, a spouse, children, aging parents who rely on your income, you need coverage worth 10 to 12 times your annual income. Term life insurance for a healthy 45-year-old is far less expensive than most people expect. Get the quote today. 4. Have the conversation with your family. Tell your spouse or partner where the accounts are, what the passwords are, what the plan is. Nobody likes this conversation. Have it anyway. Your family deserves to know. The legacy gap is not just about money. It is about love made practical. It is about making sure that everything you worked for actually reaches the people you worked for it. Close the gap. This week. Because this week is the only week you are guaranteed. Let me tell you how Gerald's story ends. Not perfectly, but honestly. Gerald watched a video like this one at 54, and something shifted. He did not fix everything overnight. He did not suddenly become a financial genius. But he started doing things he had never done before. He called his HR department and increased his 401k contribution from 3% to 6%, capturing the full employer match he had been leaving on the table for years. That one phone call was worth $3.540 a year in free money. He did a financial leak audit and found $340 a month in unnecessary spending and fees, including a streaming service nobody used, an insurance policy he could switch for $90 a month less, and a credit card minimum he had been overpaying on a card with a lower rate available. He opened a Roth IRA and set up a $200 automatic monthly contribution. He hired an estate attorney and got his will updated, his beneficiaries corrected, and a term life policy that actually covered his family. He found a mentor, a guy from his church who had built 3 rental properties over 15 years, and started learning from him. Gerald did not retire at 55 like he once fantasized, but at 60, Gerald retired with dignity. Not wealth like something from a magazine, but enough. Enough to not be a burden. Enough to help his kids. Enough to sleep without fear. Gerald beat the silent killers, not because he was extraordinary, because he finally knew their names. And now you do too. Here is what I want you to walk away with. You are not failing because you are not trying hard enough. You are not broke because you are not smart enough. You are fighting against forces that were never named for you, forces that were designed to stay invisible, forces that drain ambitious, hard-working Americans quietly and consistently for decades. But invisible does not mean unstoppable. Named, they become manageable. Understood, they become beatable. 7 silent killers. Lifestyle inflation. The comparison trap. Financial paralysis. The invisible tax of financial illiteracy. The wrong circle. The comfort zone economy. And the legacy gap. You now know all 7. You now have an antidote for every single one. And you have a choice. The same choice Gerald faced at 54. You can close this video and let the killers keep working. Or you can pick one. Just one. The killer that hit closest to home today. The one that made you catch your breath. The one that described your life a little too accurately. Pick that one and apply the antidote this week. Not all 7. 1. Because 1 is how every great transformation starts. 1 decision. 1 action. 1 week. And one day, not far from now, you look back and realize that the silent killers lost. Not because you were perfect. Not because everything went smoothly. But because you refused to let them keep working in the dark. Bring them into the light. Name them. Beat them. Your ambition has always been real. Now your plan is too. Before you close this video, I need 3 things from you. 1. Comment below. Which of the 7 silent killers hit you hardest today? Write it down. Number it. Just the number if you want. That act of naming it is the first step to beating it. I read every comment. I respond to as many as I can. 2. Share this video with one ambitious person in your life who needs to hear this. One person. You might be the reason they change their financial trajectory. That matters. 3. Subscribe and hit the bell. Every week I release new content specifically built for ambitious Americans over 40 who are done accepting less than they deserve. This community is growing, and it is full of people doing the work. You know the killers now. Go silence them. I will see you in the next one.